Today we are diving into one of the most important aspects of project management. So, project managers, PMOs, resource managers working in Jira. Do you face challenges optimizing your resource allocation, balancing workloads, or ensuring right skill alignment? In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to transform your resource management from chaotic to streamlined. I promise you that by the end of this video you will know tools and solutions allowing you to effectively allocate your resources, balance your workloads, and ensure that the right skills are at the right place. Make sure to watch this video till the end and hit the subscribe button for more of our videos. If you've ever struggled with resource issues such as over-allocation, underutilization, skill mismatch, or simply lack of visibility, this video is just for you. We all know that resource management can significantly impact your project success. Inefficient resource management can lead to project delays, budget overruns, or even project failure. But do not worry, we will show you the way. Before we proceed, let's have a quick look at the resource maturity levels, as they will help you to assess where your organization currently stands and how to improve. According to PMI, or the Project Management Institute, there are 5 different maturity levels, but I decided to keep it simple and actually can split this into 2 groups: initial and mature. So if you want to get ahead of 45% of organizations out there, or if you want to take it further and get ahead of 60, 70, or even 90% of organizations out there, this is where my team steps in. And did I mention that we've helped over 200 organizations already? So you might be thinking that level 1 and 2 applies to small businesses and bustling startups. No. There are plenty of huge organizations out there who, imagine or not, do not even log work. They use spreadsheets for resource allocation, and this is one of the examples. Now, there are plenty of problems related to working in such a way. Firstly, well, you need to update it manually. Yes, update it manually. Second of all, whenever changes occur, you need to update it manually. So it seems like you're just updating the spreadsheet. Third of all, it works to some extent. Imagine you have, I don't know, a team consisting of 10 people, 20. What about 50? What about 100? Impossible. Now, by using project management tools like Jira together with BigPicture, the allocation of your resources is as easy as it gets. You not only see the underutilized or available resources, you'll see their capacity, their actual workload, and the difference between the two, which is the remaining capacity. Using color coding, it is clearly indicated whether your resource is over allocated or underutilized, or if you're within the buffer. Reassigning work is as simple as that. Just drag and drop, and that's it. All the data is calculated in real time so that you don't have to worry about outdated information. You can adjust the view, you can switch to different effort modes, maybe you estimate work in different units, not time units, but for example, story points. Well, there's a lot of discussion what is the best way to actually have the best of both worlds, the story point estimation or whatever other units that are not strictly time related, and time tracking. If you want to learn more, reach out to us. We can help you find the best solution that will work just for you. I can also easily switch to the teams view, and instead of assigning work to individuals, I can simply assign it to a team, look at the team's capacity, and the team leader will distribute the work across their team. But what if I want to balance workloads? Well, there's one thing that you need to be aware of, especially when working with BigPicture. As you can see, I can simply stretch the task and it does affect or I can reassign the task and it does affect the workload. However, depending on the configuration of BigPicture, there are actually 2 different ways that you can approach this. One is when the effort or the time tracking parameter, original estimate at the planning stage, remaining estimate when your project is being executed. These two settings will help you have an in-depth look at every stage of the project lifecycle. So if we switch to the effort mode, I already mentioned original, remaining estimate. As you can see, I can switch to remaining estimate. I don't know if I have any remaining estimates here. So I did adjust the schedule a little bit, moved some of the work items to the future to explain how the effort modes work in more detail. And now I'm using original estimate. When I click on this task, you will see that this task has original estimate of 4 days. That basically means that if I stretch this task to a duration of 4 days, the effort or the original estimate parameter of time tracking will be evenly distributed over the duration period, which amounts to 8 hours a day. The original estimate effort mode is, as mentioned earlier, great at planning, so your project hasn't started yet. However, as soon as the execution begins, this might become outdated. What do I mean by that? Let's have a look at the next effort mode, which is the remaining estimate. And as you can see, when I switch to remaining estimate, I have completely different data. If I click on this task one more time, and by the way, you can inline edit these values here, which is very useful. You will notice that I have remaining estimate equal to 1 day, and I have logged work 1 week and 1 day. Now there are some other more advanced features such as workload counting, so if you want to learn more, reach out to us and we'll be more than happy to help you take your resource management to the next level by implementing these advanced techniques, which are quite useful, and this is a BigPicture Enterprise feature. So going back to our estimates, if I look at the task, you will see now that whatever is remaining, the 1 day, is evenly distributed over the remaining duration, starting from today until tomorrow, right? We have 2 days remaining, so it's 1 day, 8 hours divided by 2 days, 4 hours on each day. However, what happens if we look in the past? I have logged 1 week and 1 day, which amounts to 48 hours, and this is again evenly distributed over the past duration. So in that case, it's 24 hours on Monday and 24 hours on Tuesday. What is important here, and the advantage or the benefit of using remaining estimate over original estimate, is it gives you an idea of your past utilization of your resources. So we can look in the past, everything's to the left starting from today. We can see the current utilization of your resources, and we can of course plan whatever is planned, whatever is remaining estimate by definition equals to original estimate before you start logging work, unless you have Jira configured differently. There are more things that we can do here that I won't dive into. For example, multitasking, so things can get more complicated. So if you want to know more, reach out to us. I'm sure we'll be able to help you and advise how to configure and how to utilize this module to its fullest, because depending on the configuration, if you are multitasking and for example you will have a task that you have to complete by this week, but you know that you don't have to work 3 days straight on this task, you will have other assignments in between, it is way better and easier to plan work to actually use different mapping than is the default. By default, we are using start date and end date of the task, and the third parameter would be the original estimate. Now keep in mind that there are other settings, administration settings, that might or might not be more appropriate in your case. So reach out to us if you want to learn more about it, because this can make or break your project. So as you can see here, I can simply reassign the tasks or stretch them so that we do not exceed the capacity. If you want to learn more about more advanced resource leveling techniques, drop us a comment and we will do another video on that topic. And lastly, guys, is the skill mismatch. And this is one of my favorite features in BigPicture. So let's go back to the individual view. And as you can see, and maybe let's adjust it a little bit further so that I want to see it in daily aggregations. Yes. So also, guys, whenever you're looking at this data, it might seem at first, oh, we do have a problem. Oh no, Albingo is being over allocated. But look what happens if I switch to weekly. Well, he's still he's still over allocated, but it doesn't look that bad. So let's have a look at Angela here. And as you can see, Angela seems over allocated, although slightly, but still. And this might look as a problem that needs to be addressed, but all you really need to do is switch to weekly basis and see, oh, there is no problem at all. Same for Albingo. If I switch to monthly, well, we're still below the capacity limit, so it's all good. Going back to our last point is the skill mismatch. Now, this can really lead to huge delays, and there's a solution for that. You can either assign it to a person with the right skill or plan your resources ahead and simply train your resources. But again, to make such decisions, data-driven decisions, you will need all this data, and based on that, you can not only look in the past, look in the history and have reference of all the work that you did, all the projects that you've completed earlier, but also monitor what is currently happening and forecast your resource utilization for your future projects. Going back to the skills, there is a dedicated button right here. It's called the skill panel. I don't know if you've seen this, but as soon as I clicked on it, a small P appeared next to Angela here. So now I have not only the data that we've discussed already, but I have some additional data, and I clearly see with a single glance that I do not have an architect on my team. The capacity is 0, or to be exact, I do not have an architect in this defined time frame from October to November, and yes, we are still in the last year. So I did not have an architect in that year, and I did have a task that required such a skill. It is indicated right here. Now, I did have a project manager, but in general my team was underutilized, at least in terms of the skills, so it could look way better. And I will tell you another issue that is strictly related to applying the skills here. There is a configuration screen where you can actually configure the resources, not only manage their workload plans, their holidays, but also their skills. So there are skills that you can define, and you can assign skills to individuals. So for example, we have our Angela, who is a project manager, but you need to also assign skills at the issue level. So then the capacity and the workload can meet. My advice is to keep it simple to the extent you can, but we all know that in these days everybody has multiple skills. Now, this is also doable. Now, how to work when our resource has multiple skills? The first thing you will observe is that you can't really rely on these values anymore, because capacity of the skill will be calculated as the capacity of the resource divided by the number of skills. However, what you can do, and this requires a little bit extra effort, but if you cannot avoid having a one skill per resource scenario, then definitely this will do the trick. Instead of relying on this part and say, for example, that we have project manager's capacity 8 hours on that given day, that's because Angela's capacity is also 8 hours. You can simply use this panel just to check whether a resource with the desired skill is there, whether the skill is available, and then rely on this particular on these numbers right here, on this capacity. Because if Angela had 2 skills instead of 8 hours, you will see only 4 hours here, assuming her daily capacity is 8 hours. There's another feature that I really like and strongly recommend that you use, and this is called the scenario. So right now I'm using the live mode, and within this mode all the data will be updated automatically for you. Now, if you don't like this view, you can also use the Gantt chart. It also, and other modules that also have the scenario mode. And working with scenario mode is great because you can simply try out different scenarios, and whatever you do here will update the issue just within BigPicture. Your issue will not be updated in Jira unless you actually confirm that you want to use this scenario. You can also review changes, undo the changes, and you will also have a light version of the resources panel. You can see the workload right here, and it will give you more insight into what's happening within your project, because in the resources module by itself you don't really see all the dependencies. And there is always a risk that if you reschedule one of the tasks, all the linked issues will be also rescheduled. So this is something that you can easily avoid using the Gantt view, or at least apply the scenarios. That's it for today for resource management in Jira using BigPicture. If you like the video, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel, and drop us a comment if there are any topics that you would like our team to cover. Also, don't forget that there are plenty of other videos that I'm sure you'll find useful. So thank you for watching and see you next time.